welcome to Pre-Placed Mentor Talk series. And today with us we have Mr. Aditya Agarwal, a data scientist from Microsoft. Yes, you heard that, the big tech giant. And welcome, Aditya. We are so pleased to have you here today.
Thank you, Shavari. Thank you for having me here.
Yes. So I think the position and the company name is fascinating in itself. But my first question to you would be, tell us something about your current position and what you work on.
Sure. So I work as a data scientist at Microsoft, and I work on the Bing's People Also Ask experience, which basically shows a block of related questions and answers on the Bing's search page. So in easier terms, let's say you go on bing.com and you search for a query like machine learning. We give interesting and interrogative questions like what are some of the top AI trends in 2021, or what are some of the cool machine learning projects that I can do in 2021. So questions like that. And we work on enabling this experience in more than 100 languages in 200 plus markets. So like our team works on the global Bing's People Also Ask experience. Like we are completely responsible for lighting up the PA block in all of Bing's international market. And we work on cutting edge deep learning, machine learning, natural language processing, and AI techniques to enable this experience. And this Bing's People Also Ask experience, just like other AI teams at Microsoft India, they come under the purview of the Search Technology Center in India. So, yeah.
Wow, that's really amazing to hear. And actually, there's a lot of work that goes behind that one single search we do on any search engine. So,
Right.
coming to the entire interview process and how aspirants should keep their approach, my first question to you would be, what do the HRs or let's say selectioners look for in a resume in Microsoft? Like, if an aspirant is applying for a data position at Microsoft, what is that little things? What are those little things he or she should keep in mind while applying, and what they should incorporate in their resumes?
Sure. So that's a nice question. In the resume, first and foremost thing is to highlight your past experience and past projects very clearly. And more than just highlighting your past project, it's always a very nice plus to mention the impact that you have made to your previous organization. So especially in the resumes, I and like other HR recruiters, they have seen people writing in general about their past experience. Like I worked on this, I enabled this technology, but that is not at all interesting to a reviewer or a resume reader or an HR person. What's more interesting is how you highlight the contributions that you made and what impact it had on your organization. For example, writing something like, I worked on enabling this. Instead, you can replace that with, I worked on enabling this, which improved developers' productivity by 80%, or that led to a revenue increase of about $1 million. So those are very nice points to highlight because they immediately stand out in the resume, and you get questions towards those direction. Another thing to not miss out is to actually not write terms that you're not aware of. So this is something that's very common in candidates' resume these days. Like they'll throw in all terms like computer vision, machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, reinforcement learning. So that's a common mistake that you need to avoid, because if you write reinforcement learning and some big shot guy comes and takes your interview on reinforcement learning, then it looks very bad. Especially for you as a candidate, as a prospective future candidate, and also for the organization that you're from, because it looks bad towards the organization. And third thing is to not mention certifications, because in top tech companies, certifications don't play an important role. If you have done a course, that's more important than rather than putting certifications. So certifications are not that important. Courses are important, and plus courses with projects are more important. So rather than just doing a course, if you write something like, I took this course, and also with this course, I completed this XYZ project. And along with that, you have a GitHub page going with it with some nice, interesting visualizations, a very nice case study, and possibly a research paper. So you need not submit that research paper to a peer-reviewed conference. But if you have something written, then that's very nice to show.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. So, just like you said, experience plays a huge role on the resume. and that's something which, measurably counts more compared to certifications or something. But what about the aspirants? What do you suggest for the young students who have just graduated or something and are trying for these big companies? So they might not have as much experience as an industry expert like you. So what do you suggest for students? How do they have an approach towards such positions and big companies?
Right. So, how to start this entire journey, I would say, is because this is not a 3 month or a 6 months thing. Unless you are like fine tuning or refining some of your skills, it's a long process actually, more than involving a couple of years. And then the right time to start is actually in college. So when you're just starting in the industry. So how you start is by actually doing some courses, because you want to gain some understanding, some level of understanding of machine learning concepts. Identify your area of interest. That's more important. So rather than throwing terms like I'm interested in data science or machine learning, try to identify a particular area that you're more interested with. Like I'm more interested in maybe doing object segmentation, scene understanding, which are all computer vision related problems. Or for example, I want to work on machine translation in Indian languages. I want to work on low resource languages. So these are more defined areas rather than saying that I want to work on data science, because it's extremely vast. It's like saying I want to work on computer science or something like that. And the way you can start here is actually by completing these courses and then doing projects on Kaggle. So that's one of the nice things to do, is like to take up some project on Kaggle and see if you can implement that project. And once you start implementation, you will understand how modeling works, because at one go you won't if you have a good enough problem statement, at one go you can't solve that problem statement end to end. You will face issues with data processing, you will face issues with the accuracy not improving. So you'll try and think of different techniques. Okay, what if I add some regularization? What if I You will basically learn a lot when you work on a project. And the best place to start a project is to actually just go to Kaggle, pick up an easy problem statement. Let's say you start with regression. You're just starting in machine learning. You start with a regression problem, like housing price prediction using a linear regression. Then you come to a little more complicated problems like can I do something with logistic regression? Can I do something with sequence models? So that's how you iteratively improve. Like you iteratively increase the complexity of the problem statement, and you tackle harder and harder problem statements. And before you even realize, you're working on a really cool research project which has the scope of a publication. So that's how you have to start. You have to start small, but you have to keep on making these iterative improvements so that you can get to something big that can actually make an impact.
Okay, thank you. That was a really insightful answer, and I am really sure it is going to help a lot of students out there. So, my next question to you is moving towards the interview process. What is the interview process at your current company for the job role you are in right now? And how many rounds are there approximately?
Right. So let me begin by saying that the expectations are different for different levels. Like there's a certain set of expectation for freshers, and then there's a certain set of expectation for mid-senior employees, like fresher to mid-senior employees, and then there's a completely different set of expectation for senior employees, and especially for exec positions. And I think most of the people are looking at the moment of a fresher and mid-senior employees, like somewhere between 0 to 4 or 5 years of experience. So in that bracket, the interview process is very standard. Usually we have 5 rounds of interview, and unlike a software engineer interview, like you have just one or maybe two coding rounds. Like they basically like are just problem solving round, and some basic knowledge of data structures and algorithms are fine to push you through that round. And it's not going to be like very hardcore software engineering round, but a rather simple round that tests your ability to write code. And another round would be to test your concepts. So when you're applying for a machine learning or a data scientist role, you're going to get tested on your concepts. So some examples of questions like, let's say you're given a sequence to sequence model. Why doesn't a sequence to sequence model like RNN not work on long sequences? So that's because of a problem called as vanishing gradient or exploring gradient. And then you would be asked to elaborate on that problem. Similarly, like you can be asked questions like, why don't you use regularizer in a neural network? Or when do you use a regularizer in your neural network? And simple questions like what's overfitting, underfitting. So these are some of the basic theoretical or rather like concept related machine learning rounds. And this will be followed by rounds on your previous projects or experiences. So this is more relevant for people who are in the mid senior range, like people who have like 3 to 5 or 6 or 7 years of experience. And in this round, the expectation is that you give a very nice overview of a very detailed overview of what you worked on in your previous company, starting from like what was the problem, how did you solve the problem, and you can be asked counter questions like why didn't you use this technique, or why did you specifically use this technique, or why you work with this sort of data, and so on. So it's completely going to be, you can expect one round from the work that you have done in the past. And for freshers, it could be internship projects. Projects that they have worked on as undergraduate students with their professors or some other university lab or research lab. So that's that part. And another round that's usually taken is the system design or the machine coding round. So in system design, you will be given a real world use case. Let's say design Netflix. Let's say design a movie recommendation system like Netflix. So you have to start from the very basic, like give the blueprint of what Netflix is. Like Netflix has these set of movies and users, and their task is to recommend interesting movies to the right set of users. So you will be asked to like dive right into that problem statement, which tests like how good you are at thinking, how good you are at articulating and listing out the requirements, and how good you are at actually like coming up with some sort of a product. So you can't design obviously Netflix in an hour's worth of time, but you would definitely be asked to give some blueprint and define the functional requirements, and which basically tells like how good you are at solving problems. And the last interview round is usually with the manager. So it's more of a cultural fit. Like if you have made it till here, then it's a very short journey to getting a full-time offer, because managerial rounds are mostly like just to assess the culture fit and things like that. So 5 rounds: coding round, machine design, machine round, theoretical concept round, previous interview experience round, and then managerial round. So that's the usual pattern that's followed for all interviews here.
Okay, thank you so much for the detailed answer. We're really glad to hear that. So, any specific courses or resources that you would like to mention?
Sure. So I would mention like 2 sets of resources. One would be how to prepare yourself algorithmically, or like how to improve your problem solving ability. So there are like pretty good courses, like pretty good websites like Interview Bit and Geeks for Geeks and LeetCode. So these three are the courses or the website that you can look at for problem solving. And for machine learning, I would suggest to take up courses from Coursera. Like start with the basic machine learning course, which Professor Andrew Ng takes, and then try to identify your specialization or your area of interest. If you're interested in computer vision, follow up computer vision courses on Coursera. So there are very nice computer vision courses on Coursera. And to actually identify that interest, I would suggest taking up the deep learning specialization course from Coursera. So it's a 3 or I think 5 series course, which covers the basics of deep learning and also covers some of these specializations like uh, convolutional neural networks, all vision related areas, as well as the natural language processing related areas. So you will get a very nice understanding of what area you're actually interested in and which area is you would like to take forward. So I would suggest like stick to Coursera. And if you are interested in some specialization, you can always find specialized courses outside of Coursera as well. But start with Coursera first.
Okay, thank you so much for the specific suggestions. So, moving towards our last question, but definitely not the least one. What are the common mistakes you have seen candidates make over these years of interview experience, and any tips on how to avoid them?
Right. So one of the common mistakes is, I think I mentioned this before as well, like is throwing in terms at the resume that you're not at all aware of. So don't write terms in resume or keywords in resume which you're not aware of. If you only know C++ and Python, just write C++ and Python and don't go ahead and write Java, because that doesn't look good. And another thing is like another thing that people miss out on the interview rounds is not being completely aware of what they worked on in their previous company. So what happens is, like, when you're applying for a company and then you write some past experience on your resume, what ends up happening is, like, you don't put a lot of emphasis on the work that you actually did and write some general overview or a very broad aspects, and then people get asked questions in the interview about your past work, and then it doesn't match with what you've written in the resume. It doesn't look good because there's a huge mismatch between what you've written and what you're explaining. And so those are the two common mistakes, and how you can avoid them is to actually focus on terms, or how to focus on keywords that you're actually aware of, and try to find the synergy with the role that you're applying for. For example, if you're applying for a deep learning specialist sort of role, it's always nice to highlight your deep learning skill sets, right? So if you have, let's say, 10 skills, which is like cloud stack, full stack, and deep learning, it's always nice to mention your deep learning skill sets first in the resume, and not to work too much on the cloud aspect. So that is something that's nice to have, but that's something that also takes up space on your resume. And you can always filter out projects. Don't write a lot of projects which you did long back, like 4 or 5 years back, because they would have like very less impact and they would look rather simplistic, because anything that was 4 or 5 years back would look rather simplistic in today's term, until it was something that was really huge. So I think these are some of the common mistakes that people make while writing the resume. And one last thing would be to not make any spelling mistakes. I mean, spelling mistakes look really bad. So there should be no grammatical, syntactical, semantic, any sort of errors in the resume, and especially with dates and everything. Like, write proper dates, don't mismatch years and so on, because they look bad. So yeah, those are some of the
Okay.
common mistakes to avoid.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing these insights with us. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be super helpful to the people and aspirants who are, aspiring to get into data science and, aiming to work with the tech giants someday. So I
Right.
would just like to thank you a lot, Aditya, for your time today. So you removed some time for pre-placed, and we are really, really delighted to have you here. And thank you for sharing your experiences and knowledge with us.
Thank you for having me here, Shavali.